Well, today there's certainly a chill in the air and it's lovely to go out and walk around, put something warm on and enjoy some of the sights. Yes, the leaves are coming down. There are one or two crazy plants that even want to flower this time of year. But what I want to look at today is some of these plants that have wonderful berry set. And this is a fine example. This is a calicarpa, otherwise known as a beauty berry, and you can see why. Look at these hundreds of little kind of porcelain-like berries. Unfortunately, it doesn't persist. You get a heavy frost and this thing is a goner. This variety is called early amethyst and it comes into flower and fruit much earlier than some of the other ones. So I'd recommend this for our area. But there are other plants. There's some wonderful plants that you can use in your yard where the fruit will add to the winter attraction of your yard. Let's start with a crabapple. Now, I have to say it wasn't a great year for crabapples. But a good crabapple will have a fruit that stays on the tree. You don't want a crabapple that's going to drop fruit everywhere because that makes an awful mess. But ones like Red Profusion or Sugar Time will hold their fruit up in the tree and look great during the winter. It also provides an awful lot of fruit for birds and wildlife. Another wonderful shrub that often gets covered in berries is the juniper family, because there are lots of different kinds. This is the Eastern Red Cedar. It's a silver colored one, but look at those amazing blue berries. Absolutely outstanding. You can use them to add to a wreath for winter decorating. Really one of my favorite additions to that winter fall landscape. Well, here's something that's really quite unusual. It's a photina. It's a hardy one for our area, but look at those gorgeous red berries. It kind of reminds me of the hawthorn, which I would show you today, but I haven't got one to show you. And look at this. This is a climbing vine. It produces a fruit. It's a native plant. It is, of course, Celastrus, the bittersweet. You've probably heard of bittersweet vines, that they have a woody kind of grapevine feel to it, but they have little orange fruit. Now, this one isn't a giant example, but it's a variety called Autumn Revolution. And you don't need a male to pollinate the flowers. Hold on that point, because that will be interesting a bit later on. Well, you probably recognize a holly. Look at those like prickly little leaves. Do remember though, just a point to remember, that even though they're prickly, the deer still will strip them down to the ground, so watch out. And you can see the holly usually has red berries. That these are in the early stage of forming, and hopefully there's enough time for them to swell and become red. Now that brings me to my main shrub I want to talk about. It is the appropriately named Winterberry. Now winterberries are a little bit more complex. Well, here at Greystone Gardens, we have a collection of all different kinds of winterberries. Now, they need somewhat of an explanation. Now, a winterberry actually is a holly, just like the little chap I showed you before. This is a deciduous holly. Deciduous meaning it will drop its leaves in the winter, whereas, of course, the evergreen hollies keep their lovely prickly leaves and can be used in decorating. These can also be used in decorating because they're able to produce so many little red berries along the stems. They really are quite remarkable as to the number of berries they form. Now, there are more complications to talk about. Just like a holly, they're dioecious, which means there are male plants and there are female plants. Now, to get the berries to set on the female plant, you need at least one male plant in close proximity. Hopefully within 10 feet is good. They do say 50 feet, but I would be a little bit closer than that. Now, the fruit, as you can see, I'm going to just snap off a little bit and give you an idea of what they look like in the winter. We haven't had a real frost yet, but the leaves will all drop. And you can see right along the stem, scores of little red fruit. The fruit is a little toxic, so be careful with small kids around. They like shiny red, beady-like things. So outdoors on a wreath would be fine. Indoors, just be careful if you've got youngsters. They don't taste very nice, so but you know what kids are like. But look at that, you can see already, once the leaves will drop, you're going to have quite a display. Now the male, in terms of planting, you don't want to put the male in front of a beautiful female because it will block. You'll have little green leaves but no berries. So the male we tend to tuck to the side somewhere or behind. There are even some plants that you can buy with a male and a female in the same pot. I tend to like to buy the males separately. Okay, so that's the dioecious bit, the male, female plants. We also have a terrible dilemma because there are some females that flower early. And if you have a late flowering male, it may not pollinate that early flowering female. So you have to match up an early flowering female with an early flowering male. Or don't hide a male somewhere where it's in the shade, because that may delay the flowering as well. Usually they flower within 2 to 3 weeks of each other, but you could miss that pollination. If you miss the pollination, there are no berries to be had. So there are lots of choices out there in terms of buying them. There are smaller ones like red sprite. Red sprite I like a lot because it has a very beautiful grey bark, and the red berries really do pop against it. And it's only a plant that gets 3 to 4 feet tall. It could be planted against the foundation quite successfully, whereas some of these big ones can often be 10 foot by 10, which is a massive size. In deer country, you want the big ones, so they can be above the grazing habits of deer. In terms of where to plant them, they're incredibly versatile. They can grow in full sun or partial shade. What makes them really, really useful is that they actually will grow in wetland conditions, in very, very wet, damp, waterlogged soil. They thrive in it. And it doesn't matter if that wet soil dries out, they're able to survive the dry conditions very, very well. Now, in terms of sun and shade, if you go too shady, then you're going to lose the ability to have the bees fertilize the flowers, so you won't get quite so many berries. The plant itself, I think, will do quite well. So you can plant them in a wetland area or of trendy rain gardens. You can also make a hedge out of them. They make a wonderful hedge. If you've got room for a 10 foot by 10 hedge, then use the big ones. If you just want a 3 foot, 4 foot hedge that's covered in red fruit for most of the winter, then choose some of the smaller ones. There are also some yellow fruited varieties out there. I haven't going to show you today, but they really are very attractive as well. And in terms of using them, well, you can use them out in your landscape, but they can come inside as well. They can be added to wreaths, as I say, or even cut and put in a little vase. Even a very small vase makes really a very attractive little centerpiece for a small table. So you can see there's an awful lot of information when it comes to winter berries, where to plant them, what to choose, to have the right male and whatever. But don't panic. I've got the perfect solution. Here at Greystone Gardens, I've actually produced an information sheet. It's a two-sided sheet. It's got a list of all the features that winterberries hold, and it also lists some of the better varieties, and what's more important, it tells you what males to plant with what ones. So you can come down to the garden centre, be more than happy to give you a sheet, or hopefully we can put it on the website and you can download it for yourself. So there you go, winterberries, definitely a must. Native Pennsylvania plant, adds so much to your winter landscape.